Have you ever thought about using trading bots? I used Bitsgap in the last bull market and turned $1,000 into $50,000 within a 5-month period. I documented the whole process and put it in a playlist if you want to see that, along with other training videos and tutorials how to set bots up and make the most of the volatility of the crypto market. If you sign up with a link in the description, you'll get a 7 days free trial with no obligation to continue, and you can also use a demo account within Bitsgap so you don't have to risk your own capital. Bitsgap!
Hello everybody, welcome back. We're going to think about what altcoins are likely to do, or at least how to position yourself for when altcoins are going to go big, massive, huge, big moves, right? And in all fairness, right, standing back on the charts, you know, we're looking at Bitcoin, we'll look at Ethereum, actually no, we'll just focus on Bitcoin to be honest with you, because altcoins as a monster, as one giant machine, will generally all trend up together in a parabolic move, right? That's just the way it is. We can have a look at the total 2, in fact, as an idea of this. Once I find it, it's a bit early this morning. My coffee hasn't really kicked in. So, you know, this is the sort of move that you get at the end of a cycle. This is the sort of move that you get at the end of a cycle. And look, you know, they're big. They are big, but they give it all back, right? And look, some people get involved, you know, here, or even here, because they see the move taking place here, and here, and here. People get involved in those moves all the way up because retailers don't follow markets, right? And that's what makes them... I know that I'm a retailer, you're a retailer, we're all retailers, but some, you know, no retailer is born equal, right? You know, some pay more attention to markets than others, and this is the beauty of it. So what we're seeing here, obviously, when we're looking at the total 2, is that actually we have had a significant rally, and just like all these rallies, they get given back. They do get given back, right? Now this one's holding a decent structure in all fairness. We haven't broken down below 20 weekly, and we haven't broken down below this. Horizontal is significant, and to be honest, if we did break down, it would get a little nastier. And we should also think, right, fair enough, if it does break down from here, it's not unusual. And let's just measure this out. If it went down to a 200 exponential, which I don't think it would, maybe it goes to a 200 simple, which is another 29%. And again, this is on the total market cap, so you can imagine that altcoins generally will get absolutely demolished. Some of the smaller ones are just, you know, you'll see 40, 60, 80% down from where they are right now. These sort of things happen, right? This is normal. But it's only when you find like a bottoming area where you can really think about making the big moves. So I don't know if anyone is around watching my channel. I suggest that you should maybe subscribe, because as slow and boring as it is when we look at these weeklies, we do enter into positions usually much earlier than the average, right? Mostly spot. I'm not really down for all this futures trading. I don't really want to make out that is the best way to make money, not in crypto at least anyway. And you know, you'll have to rewind, but I was telling people to buy into altcoins around October. And, you know, just to emphasize the fact that I felt like I was right, it wasn't just based on the chart, it was based on the comments I was receiving at the time. Where's this alt season, man? I was buying in October. The alt season hasn't happened and I've just finished watching the video. Where's this alt season? I've been waiting 1 week and it's just, oh, there's your alt season. There you go. Boosh, all the way up, right? So looking at things on a higher term time frames, I believe is the best way to do it. Because right now, as much as we could easily bounce from here and continue up with another portion, maybe even leading into the parabolic move, because I hear a lot of people talking about how this could be an early blow off top for the cycle. You know, fair enough, it could be, but right now I'm not going to suggest that the model is going to change. When the model looks very similar to how it has before, I'll be looking for this to come back down generally. But look, we could move up, we could move down. The point I'm trying to put across is that yes, buying in October was the perfect place to buy altcoins. And the majority of people, and I'm gauging this just on engagement with my YouTube channel, majority of people refused to believe it, ridiculed you for it, and this is the way, right? This is always the way. And again, because I make YouTube videos, because I've got Discords and Telegrams and all this other stuff, Twitter and that, because I have all of this, and I stick my neck out and I tell people about what I'm going to do as a trader, I get a lot of pushback. And if it's the opposite of what I think, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, it's because I'm right. And people can't see anything other than what's going on in front of their face. Which is why I was saying, back in December, I was thinking, let's limit positions. Consolidation's coming. And obviously we moved up and now we're moving back down again. And I think there's a very strong chance that we continue to move down. We've got, I think it's the Fed meeting, I think today, is it? I believe it is. Something like that. I can't remember. Something's happening. 3rd of May, there's a lot going on. So we're going to see volatility in the markets regardless. But regardless of the volatility based on the old men speaking, I think markets still want to consolidate further. I think that's just normal. Looking at the S&P 500 and the futures market, we are bouncing from an obvious place, which is your 20 weekly. Like, lots of things are bouncing from the 20 weekly. But is it enough? We're sitting at resistance on the daily, pushing down and out. You know me, I believe very much that the S&P is going to be the main indicator for when we start to buy back from. So rather than thinking about your individual altcoin or Bitcoin itself, think about the S&P, because we've managed to do the everything bounce part 1, 2 and 3 on here, and we did it very successfully. And I think we'll be able to do it again based on the S&P's chart. I know it's annoying when you think about it like that. It almost feels like a cop-out. Saying, what? You mean you want me to buy, I don't know, Chainlink because the S&P looks like it's going to bottom out? Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying. Because if you position yourself generally in a broad, rough area of where you think a bottom is going to be, based on all markets, then, you might not have the perfect price, but you're in way before the retailers. And the retailers, like I say, are the ones who buy the parabolic peaks, not the absolute lows or close to the lows. That's what's going to happen here. And so in order for us to get that low, we're going to have to wait. And again, I saw the move yesterday. In fact, the move today, on Bitcoin has pushed up to 60,000, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. 60,000 is not 65,000, it's not 66, it's not 70, it's not beyond into a new all-time high. It's not. It's none of that. It's just a little bounce, really, from this continued downtrend. Now, part of the, like I say, being part of this, YouTube phenomenon and engagement with emotional members of community, I've get the feeling that people are unwilling to accept that their entry points, which are probably either here, or wherever, are not, or should I say, there's just not good entry points, right? It doesn't mean that they won't make money, and I'm just going to put this across. Like, I expect new all-time highs for this and for the total too, so most of the time, poor entries get forgiven most of the time. But I'm getting a lot of, I won't call it hate, I'm just getting a lot of pushback that this is just going to bounce right back up to a new all-time high. The only way that would happen for me is if we reclaim back into this major box, really, 66,000 really, and we aren't there. In fact, we're below all moving averages here on this daily. All of them, absolutely all of them. And for some reason my itchy cloud is off, but we are getting closer and closer to a daily short signal, which is all we need really at this point is for this Chiku span, this little wiggly lagging line here, to close below the cloud, which would be anything lower than 56,000 really. Once you get that daily closure, it's a short signal, and that short signal will take you down to the next level of resistance on the daily. So let's just say we closed below here. It would be a 200 simple or maybe an exponential, which is a further 12 to 12.5% drop. That would be the next best place to pick up some Bitcoin on its own for a bounce of its own, and maybe even the altcoin market through association with Bitcoin, because it's not all S&P. S&P is a major player in finding the lows, and I would say is the most important. S&P is far from getting a setup like that. The cheeky span is even still above the cloud. You'd have to make closures on the S&P below 4,850 before you got a setup like that. And even if you did, it's got the same supports as Bitcoin, which has taken us down to our main target, which is roughly around 4,700. So when we get down to these lower zones, these lower levels, you can imagine that the total 2 will have had a bit of downside. Let's put it bluntly. It will have probably got wrecked because altcoins are going to accentuate anything that Bitcoin does, which will accentuate anything that the S&P does. And I don't think that any of this consolidation is finished. But with consolidations, you get bounces, right? That's perfectly normal. You can see that here. Oh, we pulled back. Oh, we bounced up. Going to the moon. Pulled back. No, we're not going to the moon. Pulled back. Look at this bounce. We're going to the moon. What we've got here is a series of lower highs and lower lows, and we're looking for the next lower low. And then if this breaks structure, which it probably will, to be honest, because it's not like a Bitcoin chart, it's not like the S&P chart, which is stronger supports. This one's more of a irrational mover. Then we have to think about where we're going to come down to. In previous big moves, let's just have a look at previous big moves. This is the beginning of the last bull market, 2019. We saw a huge move up here, huge, massive move. And then what else did we see after that? Well, it wasn't long after that we reached a peak. Well, what's going on here? We reached a little peak, and we did come down to the tune of 62%. All in the form of a bull market, right? All in the form of a bull market. I believe we're similar to this, which means that I think we're going to have something similar to this through the summer. Which means that once that's finished, we'll have something similar to this. Remember, I'm not doing fractals here. You know how I feel about fractals. You know, it's just a tool for Noob Master to excite himself. But I'm talking about behavior. I'm talking about timing, and I think we're going to consolidate deeper on this one. And if we go back down to this previous peak, we'll be talking around 83 billion. We might even come down to the accumulation zone, 674 billion, over a period of time. We will know if there's a change of behaviour because all markets will show a change of behaviour. But I am personally looking to see quite a bit more knocked off the price of Bitcoin, altcoins, S&P, stocks, the lot. And the ones who get hurt the most are going to be the altcoins. But the place where you get the most back is by buying into altcoins when they're low. Just like we did in October. Feel free to rewind the videos. You will see. I was buying them here. I was getting hate for it. You idiot! Can't you see it's oh, quiet tumbleweeds on the the haters. They disappeared, and now the haters are coming back. You sold Bitcoin and crypto to buy back lower. You're gonna miss your entry point. I'm not gonna miss any entry points. I'm gonna be dollar cost averaging on the way down. But I just want to put it to you. Sometimes the best indicators aren't on TradingView. They're on the comments of the YouTube channels. That's where you'll find them. And I know that everybody's particularly bearish right now, which sometimes is a counter indicator into itself. But I'm talking higher term time frames, project a downwards chart pattern here. They project further down. And so with that, I'm just going to go with the charts. And if we bounce up again today, that's fine. I'll be happy to see that. I'm not bothered about that. If we move up into this Bollinger Band Center around 63,000, that's fine. I personally don't think it's going to get much higher, if any higher, than 61,666 today. I think that's the limit on Bitcoin to mark the next lower high. Then we'll move on to the next lower low. But the time will come, and this is why I've been so adamant about preserving capital, because the time will come to buy altcoins back in mass. It's not yet, but it will be. And when you get that opportunity, it won't feel right. People will call you an idiot. People will say you got it wrong. And you might have it wrong, to be fair. Not always right. But I was right the last time, I was right the time before that, I was right the time before that, right the time before that. So the big major swings, which are for me the most important, I'm right on almost all the time. And it's those big major swings that make the most amount of money. They're the ones where you look back at the chart and have a big sense of accomplishment because, that's where, that is my bread and butter when it comes to altcoins. Where was I buying altcoins? I was doing, in this period down here, I was using altcoin to altcoin pairs on Bitsgap bots. I was generating roughly around 2 BNB a day when they were at the price of around $40. I was getting 2 BNB a day just from some modest trading bots every day for about 2 months. You imagine? So that, what that did? That created at least 100 BNBs that I made from bot profit, which all rallied a few 100% to the highs. It was ridiculous. That's how I managed to turn $1,000 into $50,000. And to be fair with you, it went beyond $100,000. I just stopped making videos because I wasn't using bots. I was just sitting on the bot profit. You got to plan ahead to make the most amount of money. And if you really want to be clever, you can do stuff like trading bots or whatever. But right now, the best thing to do, and I think the cleverest thing to do, is to chill out. I'm getting through all those games that they give away for free on Epic at the moment, while I just sit back, chill out, and do nothing throughout the day. Do you know what I mean? There's really nothing I can do. I have to wait for the markets to come down further, and there's nothing I can do about that. I'd rather not short them because this is volatile, and if we're going to have Fed and FOMC and the CPI things, if they're going to be a factor into market moves, I'm rather not looking to do futures trading. I'm just going to be waiting for the next opportunity to make the hundreds of percent, like we did over here when we bought the October lows. We made hundreds of percent. I'm going to do it again, but this time it's going to be much bigger. Remember, this is not a fractal, but if we're looking at previous cycles, we are kind of doing something like this. We're in this period now, which means that we're halfway through consolidating, which means we've got a bit further to go. I don't want to say how many percents because I don't know. I'm focused on trend, not actual targets. And it's not a total 2 driven chart, it's an S&P driven chart. And even though I've got a rough target of where I think it's going to go, anything else could happen. So I am going to leave it with you there. Leave it with you there. If you want to join the Patreon, we're doing a live stream tonight. It's always good to set it up at the beginning of the month. Links in the description below. Other than that, just subscribe to the channel if you find that there's value here. I know it's going to be a long summer for those who are looking for entry points, but that is how we make the money here. I can't force the market to do anything for you. All we can do is take advantage of the market. At the moment, if the market wants to downtrend, which it does, we just have to let it do that. And that's good. It might not be the best way to make money because you're waiting for entry points. But we've already made money, haven't we? We've made loads of money, in fact. So what we're doing now is we're waiting, sitting on that money, waiting for lower entry points so we can make loads of money again. And that's all we're doing here. In fact, these technically are the good times. These are the best times. You don't have to monitor trades. You don't have to stress about the volatility of the trades. You're just waiting. At the moment, I'm playing Wolfenstein. I've never played it before. It's okay. But that's my job right now. Sitting and waiting for the market to bottom on a daily and on a weekly time frame. So it would appear to me that the summer is going to be quite a leisurely one, really, while I wait for markets to hit their lows. And then I buy. And I have a stressful autumn. Right, thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.